To the NBA, while the finals are going on, my man Windy has his fingers in the air. Let's do a Windy watch because we're getting closer and closer to the draft, which means if there were going to be trades, we're going to see them. Windy, we haven't talked about this man in a while. What is the latest on Giannis?
There's a reason we haven't, Greeny, because Giannis Antetokounmpo has gone overseas to travel with his family. He has made no trade request to the Bucks. He has made no trade hint to the Bucks. The Bucks are proceeding with their offseason as if Giannis is going to be with them, and there's no significant trade talks right now. The plan is for Giannis Antetokounmpo to be a Buck. Now, he can change all that with a simple request, but that request has not happened, and it's not clear that it's going to happen anytime soon.
All right, next up is Kevin Durant, because that's another huge name that could be changing places. We got the Win Man live with us this morning, live from OKC, as we dive deep into Game 2 of the NBA Finals last night. After Indiana stole Game 1, and I mean that literally with the huge comeback, it was SGA last night, Jay Will, who was looking to reestablish control, and did he ever?
Look, 30-plus shots in Game 1, and it was very inefficient. Scored over 30 points on 21 shots. This is what he's good at doing, and Aaron Wiggins got involved in the Game 2 from the bench.
They got a lot off of their bench last night.
So look, you think between Aaron Wiggins and Alex Caruso combined for 38 points, they got 40-plus points from the bench. A completely different team we saw in Game 2.
But Keith, look at this. Look at the move from SGA there. It's almost impossible to stop.
Nasty.
He's terrific. And then out for Caruso, you mentioned he had 20 off the bench. OKC by 18, but SGA was doing so much of it. You see him probing here and then finding the opportunities for J-Dub. He did everything for his team last night.
Hey, guys, he reminds me of AI and just the way he's able to slither in those gaps, but has the Kobe-like footwork. Also had 8 assists last night.
Williams had 19. Marcus, this is the move I was talking about. Look at them working on Naismith there.
Man, hey, listen. One player can't guard that. I think Naismith did exactly what he could possibly do, but SGA was in the zone, man. It was just unbelievable.
You can just pencil him in for at least 30 in literally every game. Last night it was 34. The question is, how efficient would it be? Well, last night the answer was very. 34 points on 21 shots, 12 free throw attempts, made 11 of those. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just recorded his 11th game of 30 points and 5 assists in this postseason. Look at the list that he joins. It is LeBron, it is Michael, and it is SGA. Here he was after the game.
You can't just throw the first punch. You got to try to throw all the punches all night. And yeah, that's what we did. We threw enough punches tonight to get a W.
Shai, you can mark down 34 points before they even get on the plane tomorrow, for the next game. I mean, the guy's going to score. We gotta find ways to make it as tough as possible on him.
And so, for the first time this morning, we welcome the Win Man in. Wendy, you were there for the game last night. To you, what's the number one storyline coming out of a dominant OKC performance in Game 2?
So they played bigger. They in the first game, they really tried to smaller lineups, tried to match with the way the Pacers play. That's not who the Thunder are. The Thunder can play big. The Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein is such an effective duo. Those guys, when they were out there together, were devastating. Hartenstein by himself was terrific off the bench. They were minus 17 in the rebounds in Game 1. They were plus 8 in Game 2. That's a 25 rebound differential. That calls to mind the Pat Riley creed, no rebounds, no rings. Well, they rebounded last night, and that and a more balanced game from Shai turned the whole situation around.
Marcus, we were sitting here on Friday morning, and we were all a little bit confused that OKC, before the series even began, chose to make those adjustments to go small to try and match up with what Indiana does, rather than dictating, this is what we do, we're going to beat you with our size. They went back to that last night and made all the difference.
Yeah, obviously in Game 2, you've seen them go back to, what we normally used to seeing. But also their bench played really well. Like, we have to take our hats off to Aaron Wiggins.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he came off the bench from not really playing in this series or in the playoffs at all, and having 18-point shooting step-back threes with a lot of confidence for a young player. That was very impressive. But getting 18 points, actually getting 38 points from 2 players off your bench, that's the key to the game. SGA is going to be SGA every single game. Like, Rick Carlisle even said that. Like, you can almost put it in the books. I don't like the statement, but hey, you can almost put it in the books. But having a bench production like that, I think that took the cake of this game.
So maybe that's the key. If you're Indiana and you're walking out of that, maybe that's. I always feel like coaches are sending messages of whatever kind that they want. So I feel like what Rick Carlisle was saying to his team with that comment is, it's not SGA who beat us.
Exactly. Right.
We got beat last night because we let everybody else beat us. SGA is going to get his. If it's just him, we can win. If they're going to get all these points, 38 points between Caruso and Wiggins combined, that's where we have no chance.
It's going to be hard to stop. I kind of felt like that Oklahoma City took a little bit of page out of Indiana playbook of having multiple guys score points. They had 5 players have 15-plus points. I mean, that's Indiana style. Shea dictated the game by how he started the game. He was more of a passive early, trying to get his guys involved, knowing that he can always score at any time he touched the ball. And hey, man, look, they showed a clip of Shea, man. When you on Shea Island, you might as well get comfortable. He is killing
Get a
guys.
beach towel, get an umbrella,
You might as well get comfortable. If you were going to leave home one-on-one with anybody in the league, you might as well get comfortable. And he showed that night in, night out.
And bottom line is, if he's going to get his, then that's one thing. If you're going to get all these performances from everybody else, you're in trouble. On the other side, go back to what you brought up the very beginning of our show today.
Brini, if you listen to Rick Carlisle after the game, he was like, we didn't come out with any fight. We didn't come out with any intentionality. Can we just keep this within NBA circles? Sometimes in playoffs for young teams, it's like, oh, we got one already. We good. It had that type of vibe to the game last night. I felt like I was disappointed in the Indiana Pacers not coming out with more intentionality. And for me, it all starts with, like LeBron said, the head of the snake, Tyrese Halliburton. There are times where I watch Tyrese, I'm like, that gives me Anthony Davis vibes. Sometimes you don't give me the 20, 15, and you're a beast. And I'm like, damn, there you are, superstar. That's a player. And other times I'm like, are you on the court? And a lot of times that lack of intentionality is what led the game last night. I need him to at least look at the damn basket, Greeny. I need him at least to get up 6 to 7 shot attempts in the first quarter, because it opens up the rest of the game for him to pass and to get everybody else involved.
We had all of these stats before the series began. I know
And that's not a knock on AD. AD is a special player. You know what I mean? I don't want to be taken that way. But there are times when you watch AD, you're like, yo, I need you to be that way every game.
It's 100% legitimate. During their run to the conference final a few years ago, it was like every other night AD played great, and in the other games, it was like he wasn't even on the floor. But let's go back to Halliburton for a second here. I know it was only a 2-game sample size. They met twice in the regular season. But before this series began, we talked about it. OKC dominated him. He had nothing in the 2 games against them. What do they do to him that makes it so hard for him to do?
I mean, look, I think Lou Dort is a physical, aggressive guard, and he has great attention to detail, and he doesn't miss cues, right? He stays on him all the time, denies him the ball back. But I got to be honest, it's Tyrese Halliburton stopping Halliburton. That's what it is. And I'll give you guys some. A lot of times we associate selfish with players that get up a lot of shots. I actually turn it back the other way. I think sometimes he can be selfish by giving the ball up all the time. It's just like a thing he just falls into, pass it ahead, and it takes away his aggressiveness. He actually has to be unselfish and shoot the damn ball because it opens up the floor for everybody else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course it makes sense. Windman, what did you see? What are the right things to say about Halliburton this morning?
Well, I'm going to look back the last 2 seasons, the last 6 games that Halliburton has played against the Thunder. He has averaged 11 shots total. And the quiet part that the Thunder weren't trumpeting because of the way Game 1 went down, they liked the way they played against him. Their game plan worked against him in Game 1. Okay, it did not work in the very last possession. They held him to 13 shots and 14 points in that game. And the thing is, Halliburton, when he gets shots up, it also leads to assists. So they're 7-1 this year in the playoffs when he scores at least 20 points. Okay, that means he's getting shots up. But in those games, he's also averaging 11 assists. When Halliburton is aggressive in getting his shots, he also creates offense for others. So far in this series, 13 shots a game, 6 assists a game. That's a winning formula for the Thunder against him.
But Wendy and guys, there are times he doesn't even look at the rim. Right. He don't even look at the rim.
Yeah.
He'll have 2 feet in the paint, and he doesn't even look. I've never seen that before.
Well, look, I feel like we were having these conversations 2 weeks ago, right? What does Anthony Edwards have to do against this defense? He's got to find a way to get more shots. Why is he taking so few shots? At some point, the threat of commonality is the defense, right? I mean, they take away. Lou Dort is a beast, man.
Yeah.
And he's not the only one.
Yeah, you have to take your hat off to OKC defense. I understand what you're saying about 10 shots, but I'm not really sure if that's Halliburton's game. Like, I think we're trying to, like, compare him to other scorers in the league, and his way of affecting the game is getting the ball out fast, right? Getting the ball moving to where guys are driving and he getting open shots and killing guys off the closeout or maybe on a switch. But look at Oklahoma City. They got Lou Dort on them. They got Jalen Williams on them. They got Alex Caruso on them. They got Isaiah Joe. They're throwing so many guys at him, and he's not really that big. So they're being very, very physical. You seen them have a backcourt violation.
Yeah.
When Caruso was guarding him, I've never seen that in basketball. So you can tell that the pressure is affecting him, and they have multiple defenders to keep throwing that Halliburton.
It's funny. I remember thinking back, Anthony Edwards basically saying, "No, I thought I played fine against them."
Right.
Like their defense, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm just thinking back to the similarity here. That defense, whatever it is it's doing against the head of the snake, that was Ant in the previous series, and it's Halliburton now. That defense is built to take away your best player if he plays on the perimeter.
Yeah, definitely if you're playing iso ball, they're an iso ball defensive team. With all those defenders, we can switch in and out 4 or 5 guys at a different time. But like Marcus said, he doesn't affect the game always from scoring. Obviously, with the numbers, if you see the numbers, you're 7-1 when you score 20 points. You have to get 20 points.
Yeah.
Now, that's the thing. When you know those numbers and you know how effective you are scoring 20 points and what it does for the team, you have to continue to do that. Even if you, like Jay Will said, you're not shooting the ball. You have to shoot the ball because that is what is going to make you guys win, obviously, with the numbers showing.
But even looking at that backcourt violation, he wasn't being pressured.
Right.
It wasn't like he was being physically pushed against the backcourt line. It seems at times like he plays really fast. Last night he was thinking, it felt like the last 2 games, he thinks the game, he's not feeling the game.
Right. Yeah.
He doesn't feel the game. Now, I give OKC a lot of credit for their pressure to do that, but it's like almost the game needs to slow down in his brain. He's playing too fast.
2 games, he went into the 4th quarter under 10 points. And he scored 12 in the 4th quarter last night.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
It's like he waits for
You
it.
waiting for the 4th quarter, and that's kind of been their catalyst to playoffs. They literally wait to the 4th quarter and then turn it up when people think the game is over. So is that the approach that he's trying to take every single game?
You can't do that, though.
They haven't
Can't do
had
that
a
in
player.
the finals.
The Pacers, through 2 games of this series, have not had any player score 20 points in either of the 2 games. You have to assume that it'll be Halliburton trying to turn that when we get to Wednesday night's Game 3. In the meantime, if it's a Monday, let's do a little Memory Monday, because on this day in 1987, with the Lakers trailing the Celtics in the final seconds of Game 4 of the finals, Magic Johnson made one of the most famous shots in basketball history. Every single person in this room just did it, right? Every person in the room does the little hook shot. Marcus, right when you see this, as good as it gets.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
point guard.
Special over 2.
Magic Johnson.
Over Kevin McHale.
Signature move over McHale and
and
Parrish.
Parrish.
It's Parrish in there too. The great Irvin Magic Johnson.
man.
The Lakers would win this series.
What a bad closeout,
in 6.
McHale. Come on, man.
Magic Johnson. Magic, your coaching
to the
thing.
middle.
Magic Johnson will be a live guest on this show on Thursday. We'll have him after Game 3. Magic 9:30 Eastern live on Get Up Thursday here on ESPN. Meanwhile, coming up this morning, we'll tell you why Aaron Rodgers picked the perfect place for his final act and why a quick start would make all the difference in Pittsburgh. Plus, Caleb Williams